good enough. But I kept going strong. And things started to change slowly. I was getting appreciation for my work. I got my self-confidence back. That's me getting appreciation, right? And I knew I wanted that way. My obsession with the faces grew. I was sculpting a lot of faces. I was trying to understand how the face language works, how the face works, how the emotions work. I did a lot of sketches at that time. And I let the weird imagination come to life. That's one of my first sculpts. That's 3 little Disney pigs converted in a mutated version. That's how weird I am. Then I discovered 3D. And I did a lot of sculpts in 3D as caricatures. This is one of them, Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. That's the other one. Fast forward to today, after 14 years. I worked on so many AAA games, numerous statues, held sculpts, so many big clients. And now I'm here in front of you guys presenting. So that's my journey. I'll talk about how the production pipeline works from my end. I know most of you guys are from motion design, so I'll give you a bit about what happens behind the scene. So there are 3 things: pre-production, production, and post-production. So pre-production is about planning. Production is actually shooting. And post-production is these visual effects. First thing is concepting. So concepting is a phase where we create ideas and rough sketches to explore how things actually look like before actually made. So this is the concept. This concept stage is usually done in pre-production stage, but sometimes the directors come and ask to work that in post-production. So when the concept is approved, by the accurate. They add extra details like skin pores, trying to enhance and make the sculpt look good. After this stage, when everything is ready, all the fixes are done, then it's sent to texturing and shading. So this is when the character comes to life. So in texturing, what happens is we add colors and do that manually. So next is rigging. So rigging is like adding digital skeleton to the model. And so it allows the model by adding joints and controls on the body, just like human beings. That rigging thing is sent to animation. I'll show you this first. That's Homelander dancing on baited So that's one of my model. And that's done, animation is done on this. So animation is basically adding animation on the character. It's making the character move. Or day scene, you can just add that. That's effect simulation, right? Adding effects. It's like adding fire, the background, or adding snow, anything with dynamics to make the scene more realistic. So rendering. So rendering is when we add all the models, textures, animation, and process them into a single image or a video. Sorry. Yeah, and compositing is when we take the rendered elements, compile it together, adjust, and add effects on the top. So it blends seamlessly. We add motion blur, depth to give that cinematic effects. So next thing is my role in DNEG. Concepting already told. It depends. So sometimes when I work, usually I'm a modeler and sculptor, but when the concept department needs somebody to help them, so I can work in concept department to help them with any character work or anything. Well, modeling is sculpting. It's not that kind of modeling. So it just, yeah. So modeling is again making the characters. Like you can see the model that I did. Next is face shapes. So face shapes is a process in which we make facial expression by dividing them into smaller facial movements. Usually we do that. Okay, yeah, now you can see. Yeah, so usually we do that for stunt doubles when they want to replace with the actual actor. And shot sculpting is a process in which we manually edit according to the shots. So let's say if there's, because sometimes we have the rig, we have the animation, and then there's an issue with the deformation like this, right? Like, you know, there's a deformation over here. So we fix it, and we add extra form to make the scene more enhanced and more appealing, like adding some like muscle definition, or even like veins. So the thing with professional and personal work is quite different. In professional work, we have a bit more pressure than the personal work. Big budget involves, and then we have deadlines that we have to reach. Good thing about professional work is we work with the team, which is amazing. We get to learn a lot from each other. And with personal work, we can explore anything. We can push our boundaries, which we push our limits, learn new things. Actually, it's not just about learning art. It could be like learning something else. And then you can combine that experience in your art. That's what I do. And for professional work, this work is done in large scale. So, you know, so much pressure, and this creativity will be according to the other artists, other directors. So we are fulfilling their creativity. But in personal work, you can do whatever you want. So you guys must be wondering what software that I use to sculpt all these things. So it's Maxon's ZBrush. So it's a digital sculpting software made by pixel logic initially, and then by Maxon. It's used by like all the character artists, sculptors, concept artists, and it's used in all the industries, in films, in games, and in 3D prints as well. And I've been using this for like more than 14 years right now. The best thing about this is it can handle millions and millions of polygons. That means you can actually add a lot of details. Like you can see the sculpt I did on the side. You can add small micro details like skin pores. You can go in depth like folds like in the eyes, in the mouth, inside the mouth as well. And you can handle easily and efficiently. Also, the brushes that it has, it feels like clay. You can sculpt, you can use the brushes to make So this is one of my piece sculpt I did, showing you how the process works. So here I'm just trying to define the volume, keeping it loose. On the left you can see how I'm changing the brushes with the shortcuts. It looks complex, but it's not like that. So yeah, if you want to see more stuff like this, I'm going to give my portfolio link in the end. You can just go and see this. Just wanted to show you guys how the ZBrush interface looks like. Okay, so my approach. So basically it's how I approach things, how I approach like sculpting. The main thing is I do a lot of research. Understanding the unique facial feature is the key. For that, so for example, if I'm sculpting someone, so I need to know where the guy's from. If it's Asian or if it's any ancestry, could be anyone. So I need to know who their parents are, age, sex, gender, because it will help me to make my foundation for my sculpts very strong. Sometimes if I'm sculpting someone who is no longer alive with us, what happens is we don't have that much references to sculpt that character, or even video references. So those things become really crucial to know the background. It gives us a basic idea and a strong foundation for that. So for me, like, my goal isn't just accuracy. For me, it's more getting the emotions in the sculpt. I want the sculpt to look alive, you know. I want it to look more human. It's just like if you have food in front of you, a picture of food, and you can actually feel the taste. You can get tempted. That's the expression. That's the feeling I want in the sculpt. So elaborating that, so here you can see different types of skull. So we have African, Asian, and European, right? You can see how different the skull structure are. For example, if you see Africans, the orbital form, which is this area, is quite different. For African, it's more like rectangular. And for Asian, if you see, it's round. And for European, it could be more round or it could be like angular. You can see even the brow ridge, which is this area over here. It's quite moderate in African skull. In Asian, it's very reduced. And in European, it's quite prominent. So these are some of the traits you can see. These are some of the things I just added here. But you can use this to make a strong foundation for your sculpts. Even the cheekbone, you can see, is quite different. For Asian, it's quite prominent. And for African, European, it's not that much. So this is like free information that you can use to sculpt anyone. And even the facial profile from the side, you can see, is quite different. For African, it's quite protruding from the lower jaw. And for Asian, it's a bit flat. And for European, it's orthogenetic. It's quite like this. Also, the skull changes with age. So you have to put that factor when you're sculpting someone. Imagine you're sculpting a kid, and the kid looks like a man with like small torso. So yeah, you have to understand how this looks. So understanding the skull, let's say for this jaw thing is called gonial angle. For kids, the gonial angle is wide. So that means they have softer transition for the jaw. And when they grow up, the angle changes, and then the jaw becomes strong. They become less angular. And when you see elderly people, when they don't have the teeth, that means they don't have the support. That means when they talk, when they don't have the teeth, it produces more. It protrudes outside more. And then when they talk, they look like this. Right? And the angle of the jaw changes with the age as well. So these are things, it's like a free information that you have to keep in mind while sculpting any faces. Yeah, also for infants, the skull is not fused. They are a bit separated. But when you become an adult, it's tried to fuse together. So the proportion of the cranium changes. You can easily see the cranium, the head of the infant, is quite bigger, the back of the head, as compared to the grown-up adult. Because it keeps on growing. And the front part of the face is keep on growing and the proportion changes. So these information, these are some of them, but like you need to know more. Even for the eye socket, it changes. It becomes longer when you become an adult, and then even longer when you become like old guy. Sex, not that kind of, right? It's just a difference. So in male skulls, you see it's larger, more rugged. And for female, it's quite smooth. Like male is, it's just like, you threw just male skulls somewhere else and then it's, something like that. So it's more rugged. But female is more like smoother. And for male, the same thing as male. They have like very strong bridge. For female, it's smoother. This information is really necessary. Imagine if I'm sculpting a strong female monster, but I want to add that more manly feeling on the sculpt, but keep retaining the female features. So we have to keep in balance. For example, you can have like stronger jaw, but adding softer transition with the face, it will give more female, but stronger. Because it's very necessary to know this information, or else, again, the guy on boy's head, like it's gonna look weird, So now we did the research. So now we have references collected for the character that we are sculpting. The problem with the character is, you see how much distortion it is from different camera angles. It changes. And the problem with this is, we have a set camera angles on our software when we sculpt. And we try to match that camera angle with a particular image, because you don't know, like, if the picture is taken by paparazzi, or maybe like, on a model shoot, or maybe it's Photoshop edited, or there's so many things involved, or maybe taken from far away. And then we're trying to match the head sculpt while sculpting. It's not going to give you right results. So knowing how the camera angle works, check out the ears, right? It changes the size as well, because it's taken from different camera angles. So if you see 200 mm camera angle, which is the far away, you can see the shape of the whole skull. And sometimes that I work, I use orthographic view to match that particular angle. So collecting references and knowing this information is quite crucial. Okay, so we collected the references, right? So we have the references, we have did the study, now it's actual sculpting process. So what is primary forms, secondary forms, and tertiary forms? So that's one of my sculpt here. So you can see in primary forms, which is quite smoother, I'm focusing on strong foundation. I'm focusing on big shapes. The reason is I don't want to focus on the small details. I don't want to deviate my focus on detailing at the moment. Because when we are working on primary forms, we are focusing more on cheekbones, the overall skull structure, the overall the shape of the head. It's like working on something big. It's like, you know, when we make a house, so we build strong foundation. We build the base strong, then add the walls, and then you add the decoration. It's the same thing. So once the skull structure is done, then we want to break the forms, which is the secondary forms. We're adding the mid forms. It's like adding extra subtle details on the face, like adding nose detail, adding some plane change on the cheekbone, just to show how the cheekbones work. Some information on the brow, some breakage form of the cheek, some on the lips. So you can add those information. I've seen people doing a mistake when they forget to add secondary volume. That's one of the big mistakes they do. That sculpt doesn't look realistic. So third thing is tertiary form, is when the good thing happens. We add small macro details, skin imperfection, like moles, anything, or maybe a scar. Those information we add in tertiary detail, which is the end thing. You can switch between them while working, but that's the basic idea. And this you can use in anything you're working, not just sculpting face. It could be body, or it could be applied in your work. You can use the same techniques. So this is one of the other sculpt to showcase how I block things. So on the left is the final one. Here you can see how loose I'm working. I'm just trying to block the big forms, trying to get the essence of the character, trying to get the emotions, and just like laying down, just, you know, like throwing it away, just to get the emotions and the feeling. And then I'm trying to implement all the anatomical thing on the top, so it looks more appealing. So that's the final thing, turn around from different angles. That's Beast from X-Men. Also, I make sure the silhouettes looks good from other angles as well. It's not like, you know, if I'm sculpting something, it looks from this angle, but when you turn, it doesn't, you know, the volume doesn't look right. So that's important as well. The next thing is planes of the head. So planes of the head is a very good technique to simplify the complex form. Like when I sculpt, I always use, just to simplify things. So this sculpt is by Azuro's head, it's called. And basically is working with big forms, simplifying it, so it's easier for you to understand, because face is really complex. You can use that in body while sculpting. And yeah, also one thing is, it's really, really essential when you're working on stylized faces. So you can easily work on the landmarks. You can easily change the volume ups and down without concentrating on the minute part. Simplifying, because our eyes are deceiving. Our body is complex. When we sculpt any body, there are different formations happening. Simplify something in like smaller shapes like a sphere or a square gives us better understanding of the stuff you're doing. So for me, even after working like 14 years, I still use the same technique, simplifying as much as possible. So this is one of the sculpts I did as a fan art for is Ghoul from Fallout. So you can see how the muscles work, how the muscles are laid down to make the sculpt more realistic. So understanding the facial muscle is really crucial for our job. So it determines how the face, how the skin folds, moves, and how it deforms. It's really necessary to understand the underlying structure, so make the sculpt more realistic. So you know the subtle formation, like subtle formation of the volume near the cheek or like lip area, to make it more realistic and more appealing. We need to understand that our face is not just about muscles. We have fat pad as well. I showed that in yellow thing. That's fat pads. If we don't have the fat pads, it's all over the face. We're going to look like this guy, and it smooths the surface of the skin. And also, it influences the aging. Sometimes we lose weight, we lose the fat, and then the skin folds down. So we have to keep understanding and keep thinking about the backstory, what happened before that. So understanding muscles is quite so understanding muscles is quite important. So this is FACS. So FACS stands for Facial Action Coding System. It's developed by Paul Ekman and Wallace V. Fresson. So this is a scientific system to categorize the facial movements so that we can make more realistic faces, how the expressions work. So we categorize different facial movements into action units. This is really important because if we have to make a character that talks or do something more like animate for the face, so we need to know how the muscles are working inside the face. We need to know that. Frustration. This is one of the topics I want to cover because I get a lot of questions regarding how I achieve realistic sculpting and faces, and I'm not able to reach the same output. The problem is you're comparing yourself when somebody starts to professionals who are working for like 20 years or 15 years. And you get, because of the internet, there's so much competition happening. You get so much good artworks every day and then want to do the same thing in a month or like 2 months. It's quite frustrating. It's really important to understand that it takes time. You have to fail a lot to learn. Like failing is a part of learning. So you fail, I fail as well. I'm like this all the time. But it's important to understand you have to go in your own pace. Don't rush. Because it's a journey, not like final destination, right? So yeah, it's important to just like go, just relax, just get a coffee, just chill. That's more important, and then come back, and then fix the problem. So imagine if you're really stuck in the problem, and then you're not able to understand what's happening. You're getting stuck. So this is the 3 things I use always. The power of 3 questions that I say. It's what, why, and how. Imagine if I got stuck in a problem. I'm thinking everything at the same time. I just relax. I take 1 step at a time. I just think, like, what's the problem? Find the problem, why is it happening, and how to solve it. Just dissect the same problem in 3 steps, and you're gonna get the answer. And you're gonna be happy, right? Like this, buddy. That's me as well. Inspiration. Let me check the time. Okay, how much time I have? Okay, it's really close. Yeah. So inspiration, I get inspired with so many people around me, even people I meet daily. Inspiration is a big. Oh, sorry, wrong slide. Okay. So for inspiration, for example, I met this girl in the tube, and I asked her, can I sculpt her? And I made the sculpt for her. So I get inspired with everybody around me. Sometimes it could be like people, sometimes it would be from the show. So this is based on a show called Last of Us, and I love zombies. Who doesn't love zombies, flesh-eating monsters, right? So I love this guy, so I love his acting. So that's the reason I sculpt him. And you can see the hair. I didn't try to add so many details. I just kept it more stylized. I wanted, I don't want to create a messy thing. I want to have the eyes resting on some stuff, trying to have more focus on the eyes. So I try to do that. This is beautiful Cersei Lannister. I just wanted to add the bitchy face on her face, The stare she always looks. That's the emotion I wanted to say. Like, not joking, actually trying to look like this, try to feel, the bitchy feel to make the sculpt. This is Furiosa I did from Mad Max. Wanted to get the fierce feeling on the eyes. So this is, you guys know who the guy is on the left? That's, have you seen Saw? That's the actor from the Saw. And that's a fighter. So this is like small projects for me. So yeah, I love stylizing as well. How the face work, how, how exaggeration of emotion is one of the things I love. So this is Squid Games. That's number 1. You can see the rocks on his hands, trying to get all the emotion in the picture. That's Spider-Man. They made stylized version. That's Tom Holland, Willem Dafoe, Zendaya, and his friend. That is the. The Office guys. Stanley wanted to feel that emotion, how he feels, Who doesn't love Kevin? So yeah, this is Aloy I did from Horizon video game. I wanted to add more feeling on the hair, how she looks like, more delicate. That's Rogue from X-Men. And here I wanted to, get the feeling that she just takes away all the energy from whatever she touch. That's what I tried to add on this sketch. So yeah, you can see on the left that's zebra sculpt. On the right is 3D printing. It's actually that big. And you can see how much detail you can get from ZBrush, or you can just add. Even the skin pores you can see on the bottom. You can see the skin pores, all the wrinkles that came in here. That's me again. Wun and Jon Snow. And this is the first time I saw this sculpt, so I was really happy. That's again the bitchy face, Cersei Lannister. So this is really small, it's like this big. And then you can still see the skin pores. That's advanced, how advanced we are right now with the 3D printing as well. So I did a lot of, these are some of the sculpts I did. I have a lot of them. And this is the painted version. It's quite small, like this big. That's Yondu. So yeah, I'm really grateful because I'm able to do what I love and took that step previously. So I am here. One of the best feeling is getting noticed by celebrities and able to meet them. It inspires me to create more because they're appreciating. When I feel your work is getting appreciated, it's self-inspiring for yourself. This Homelander saw my dancing video, so he added in his story as well. He loved it. Yeah, I think it's Walton Goggins saw my work. So yeah. The thing is, be grateful to your decisions. And whenever you find yourself in a crossroad, just remember, listen to your heart. Don't let the moment decide your fate. You decide your fate in that moment. Thanks a lot.